what are the biggest issues from your perspective in terms of operating in the countries that you operate in from a regulatory perspective? What are the things that really kind of affect you and worry you, if you like?
When we started Glovo, we thought, our couriers would work for the platform and, probably combine it with another job or another activity, and it would be just an addition on top of their main revenue stream. And that happens. There are a lot of our couriers who actually really need that flexibility, and it's just an additional income on top of other things they're doing, or they combine it with studies, and that fits really well. But there's a large percentage, in fact, the majority, who really depend on that income, both as their main source and sometimes their only source. And that's something that I think needs to be treated very differently. And the responsibility of platforms, when somebody's depending on the income and we're their life stream, and should be treated differently, and we should be giving them a lot more guarantees, in my opinion. Guarantees on income, guarantees on the amount of hours they want. The two main pain points for our couriers are earnings per hour and how many hours we can give them. So we have a certain responsibility, and then to round that with social rights, equivalent to maybe having a labour contract. I'm in favour of flexibility. I don't think they necessarily have to have a labour contract. They can perfectly well be freelance, but they should have additional protections, insurance, etc. And I think that's something that when most of us set up these companies, we didn't see that, but we've been, as we've been quite outspoken from Glovo in looking for those, especially being, a European founded company. Yeah. We believe in that. And we work with couriers in 3 different ways. We're in 4 continents. We're, as I mentioned before, we're in 24 countries. And we work with couriers mainly as a freelance. We also use third-party companies. In some of the countries, they have third-party companies which offer the courier service. And we also have employees now delivering. And I think what we should be looking for is to have a commitment from the industry that the social rights, independently of how you work with a worker, should be fairly similar, and they should have the same coverage, especially when they're dependent on the platform, as I would say their primary income, maybe not their whole income, or definitely when their whole income is coming from that.
So that's great, but I'm interested in this idea because clearly the world has changed quite a lot compared to, even 10, 20 years ago, right? Where you've got a whole load of people who want a lot more flexibility in their working schedules. So you're making this distinction between people who kind of depend on working for you and other platforms versus those who perhaps don't, and this is additional income. Where do you draw the line between those two groups, and how can you create a regulatory environment that kind of brings those two together in a fair way?
Good question. I'm not a regulator. What we should see this as an opportunity and not trying to fix a problem. You're absolutely right. I think there's a change in the way we all work, the way our children are studying. They're multitasking now. We're often, doing multiple jobs at the same time, multiple activities. So I think society has moved that, I'm not to judge if that's good or bad, but it's happening, and it's not going to change. So we need to confront the future of work in a very similar way. And let's look at taking all the advantages of flexibility and let's give them the piece that's missing, right? Which is social benefits and guarantees and things like that. And I think there's a way of doing it. I'm not the right person to say how it should be done, but one thing shouldn't take away from the other.
Yeah, understood. Well, and I think it's really difficult. I think it's quite an intractable problem to get that balance right. Yeah.